what's up YouTube? Houston here. Look, if you've been one of those people that's been trying to get a $10,000 or higher credit card, all right, there's some things that you truly need to understand in terms of the metrics and what type of cards you should be going after, because all credit cards are not the same, all right? And so helping you understand what type of credit cards you should be going after when you're trying to go after $10,000 plus type of credit cards, all right? There's two types of credit cards, and we're going to talk about the main ones that most people are not aware of what they're going for and what they're actually getting accomplished for with these cards. One is the Visa Signature card, okay? Now, usually, on average, the Visa Signature card starts at about $5,000, okay? But you as an individual, you're trying to get to that $10,000 credit card, then you should be looking at the Visa Infinite cards, all right? And so, MasterCard, they have the MasterCard World Elite, all right? And that goes between $5,000 and $10,000 as well, all right? But most of the cards that I'm going to be talking about, that they're more likely Visa Infinite because they're usually starting at about $10,000. Now, that's usually what they start at. And again, it depends on the data metrics of what you actually have on your credit file, because everybody's credit file is not created equal. Also, in the zoning area, the region of the country, all of that really factors in terms of you getting that high point credit card, because you can be in a high crime, impoverished area and most of the credit scores are in the 500s or whatever. And you may be a 750, 800 credit score, right? But because they're calculating all the data metrics in that area, in that region, then even though you have all the right data metrics, they still may give you a low limit credit card, all right? So that's something you also have to take into consideration. That being said, in reference to going after a $10,000 plus credit card, I would say some of the easiest ones would possibly be the Visa Infinite. Now, your Visa Signature, sometimes they will start you at they start you at $5,000 or above, but sometimes you may, because of, depending on how old your credit file is, they may give you a $10,000 limit. All right, so it's just different data points. Now, some other data points that you have to understand, because I'm gonna tell you about what credit cards that if you're trying to get to that 10,000 starting out plus, I'm gonna tell you about those cards, but you should understand these data metrics, because if you don't, you have a higher chance of being denied, because there have been people with perfect credit scores and they've been denied. All right, so that's a very big thing that you have to understand. That being said, average credit score for a $10,000 plus credit card between 670 and higher. All right, so if you 670, 740 or whatever, you know, that's a good metric. A lot of people try to say, what about an 800 or whatever? Again, you can have an 850, but in terms of different metrics, you may have, your file may not be old enough. Your DTI may be too high. Like with most banks, and some of these banks I'm gonna talk about, DTI, if it's over 55%, you can get denied. If you have more than 6 to 8 hard inquiries, you can be denied, okay? So let's jump into it. What you want to do, if you're trying to go for that 10,000 plus credit card, some of the things you have to understand is that I would make sure, especially if I'm trying to get a 10,000 plus credit card, I would make sure that if I have any small revolving open accounts, that I would pay those down to 0, okay? And I always talk about this in terms of when you're trying to get approved for higher limit credit cards or high limit loans and stuff, make sure your open revolving accounts are paid down to zero if possible. If nothing else, make sure it's paid down to at least 10%, not 30%, 10%. All right, because this is actually showing them that, hey, I really can manage money. I'm not stressing over getting approved for the credit card, but I would like that credit card, right? So that's one of the things that you have to understand. Now, let's talk about some of these credit cards, all right? So the first credit card we're going to talk about is U.S. Bank Reserve, okay? Now, the U.S. Bank Reserve card usually starts out at about $10,000. Now, if somebody has the U.S. Bank Reserve card, when you got approved for the card, did they give you starting out 10,000 plus? You know, put a comment. Now, please understand, with that $10,000 credit card or higher, usually they charge a higher annual fee as well. Okay, so that's also another thing you have to take into consideration if you want to pay that high annual fee. Now, the annual fee on this U.S. Bank Reserve card, you're looking at about $400 a year. Now, with U.S. Bank, they usually pull your TransUnion, okay? They usually pull your TransUnion FICO 9, all right? And for sometimes on the business cards, they may switch it up and pull your Experian FICO 9. But we're talking about personal credit cards, the high limit credit cards. So that's the reason your TransUnion FICO 9, all right? Now, let's talk about Chase. Now, here's the thing about Chase. Chase is one of those ones with a 524 that I always talk about. That means you have got approved for 5 open revolving credit cards, okay? And within the past 2 years, 24 months, then they may turn you down for other credit cards, okay? Because it's not past that 24 months. Now, keep this in mind. Authorized users don't count and personal loans don't count, all right? And sometimes if you get on the phone with them, if you apply for a, say that you have a 524 and you apply for a business credit card, now they may be flexible on the business side to give you a business credit card, overlooking at 524. But most of the time on the 524 open revolving accounts, they will definitely, oh, there's my rabbit. Hey, Sue, want to be on camera? Sorry about that, guys. But I guess she's going to ignore me. But what I was saying about the 524, with Chase, they are very strict on that 524. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. With Chase, oh, there she is. I'll show you my rabbit. Come here. Oh, she ain't playing with me. All right, let it go. With Chase, all right, they pull your FICO 8, okay? They pull your FICO 8, Experian, and TransUnion. Sometimes, for whatever the reason, lately they've been pulling both Experian and TransUnion for a credit card. Sometimes they may just pull your Experian, all right? So maybe when you first open up a checking account and apply for a credit card, they'll pull your Experian, TransUnion, and then when you apply for just the credit card on its own, when you have an actual account with them, they may just pull your Experian. But it is a FICO 8. All right. Now, the credit cards that you want to go for when you are trying to get a $10,000 starting limit would be the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Okay, and that is a Visa Infinite card. Now, they have the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, okay, and that starts at about $5,000. All right, that starts at about $5,000. Now, that being said, let's look at Capital One, because Capital One is mixed up in this game. Now, one of the things about it, like I said, I'm not too big of a fan of Capital One because they put a hard inquiry on all 3 credit bureaus. Now, you could lock up one of your credit bureaus and they'll work with the other 2. But most of the time, they put put a hard inquiry on all 3 credit bureaus. And so the $10,000 credit card that you actually want to go for with Capital One is their Venture X. Okay, your Venture X, because that's, again, a Visa Infinite card. It starts at $10,000 usually. Now, the annual fee on that is $395. Let me also step back a minute. On that Chase Sapphire Reserve, that annual fee is $550. Okay, so just so you guys know that, hey, if you're trying to go for these high limit credit cards, you more likely are going to be charging a high annual fee. Now, let's talk about American Express. All right, so with American Express, the American Express Platinum card, you usually, because it's a charge card, all right, here's the interesting thing. Even though it's a charge card, they do actually give you a limit. They give you what they say, you're up to your spending limit. Now, the interesting thing about it, you can actually turn that charge card into like a regular credit card, but you have to make a pre-spending limit first. So say that they give you $20,000 on your Amex, okay? You know that, okay, I need to spend $5,000 on something. Well, with that $5,000, you can put that on a payment plan, okay? So that way it's like a regular revolving card, but you still have that extra $15,000 to work with as well, but it's not section the same as that $5,000 that's on the revolving. All right, so that way you'll know. But with the American Express Platinum, because everybody wants that card, it does have a lot of benefits, but it's expensive. It's very expensive. As a matter of fact, I got another credit card that's more expensive on the annual fee than the American Express Platinum. But the American Express Platinum card, okay, they pull Experian, and they started pulling TransUnion, and they do FICO 8. All right, now keep in mind with American Express, Chase, Capital One, they give you a credit score, but remember that credit score is a Vantage 3 score. Okay, now with them actually giving you qualifying you for a credit card, you can do pre-approval. Okay, you can do a pre-approval, but they won't be pulling that Vantage score. They are going to be pulling that FICO 8 score. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So Amex, their annual fee is $695. It's a very expensive card. I like it. I've had it for a while, and I get a lot of perks, nicer hotels and stuff like that. So that's the reason that I like it or whatever, and I don't complain about it. But for most people, $695 just to have a card, that's a lot of money. All right. Now, here's another card that that you guys need to think about. And that card is the luxury gold card. Yes, the luxury gold card. Now, this is an elite card as well. Now, the luxury gold card is issued through Barclays Bank. Now, Barclays, they're very keen on their cards, and they're very stickler on it. You definitely would have to be 700 plus on them. The other ones, like I said, 670 and up, but with Barclays, you're gonna have to be touching 700 and higher. All right, but that luxury gold card from Barclays pulling TransUnion, it is a FICO 8. All right, so they have the luxury cards from Barclays. They have the titanium luxury card, the gold, and the gold and the platinum. All right, and a lot of people like the gold luxury card because it's actually, all of them are plated, but that gold plated luxury card, that's the reason a lot of people like that. Now, they also have the black card as well. Now, the luxury black card from Barclays, that one starts at about $5,000. Okay, so that way you have some data metrics. Now, here's two cards that I would definitely tell you may want to think about as well. Now, the X1 credit card. because they give you the average credit limit. They give you 5 times the average credit limit. Okay, so if looking at your credit file, and they will do a hard pull after you accept what they offer you. But on average, say that your average credit limit on a credit card may be $2,500. So they'll multiply that times 5. Okay, so that's what they actually go off of, and they use other data metrics as well. So if you're trying to get a $10,000 card, it may not be just on about the credit score. They may also be looking at your income. That's one of their big things, is looking at the income. So just keep that in mind, the income, how long you've been on your jobs, because there's a lot of companies out there that give you $10,000 plus, and don't use those regular data metrics like the major banks of the credit score. Okay, now that being said, you have the Wells Fargo Active Cash. Excuse me. Yes, it is the Wells Fargo Active Cash, and I think that one starts at about $10,000 too. Now with Wells Fargo, theirs is Experian FICO 9 also. All right, so there's this Experian FICO 9 as well. Now, one other card I wanted to tell you all about. If you have bad credit but you have a strong income, you've been on your job and stuff, and you want a $10,000 credit card, you may want to take a look at the Tomo card. Okay, because the Tomo card is definitely can get you a $10,000 limit. All right, so I hope that this video helps you and gets you to understand, if you want to get to those $10,000 cards, it's not just applying for any type of card. You have to apply for specific cards. Like I said, you can start out with a Visa Signature. It starts out at 5, but you may luck out and they'll give you 10 or more. But your Visa Infinite cards, those are the ones. Now again, not a guarantee that even with the Visa Infinite card that they'll give you a $10,000 limit. Again, you should check on those data metrics before going all in on that. All right, so this is Houston with Three-Way Funding. I hope that this information helps you, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, please click the link in the description and schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.